Design, she can sometimes be a confusing mistress. And no, I don't mean in the sense of beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Rather, this example. At first glance, you say, oh, well, that's an SUV with less U that's got a more attractive rear end. When in reality, it's a carrying case for the future of AMG performance technology. See? I told you it was confusing. Admittedly, when I removed the plastic covering, that engine, not the most attractive. However, it is absolutely something to behold, and that is because of multiple tech going on here. First, there's the design, a 3-liter inline-6, which BMW has proven over many years not just to be simple, but one of the best engine designs, so much so Mercedes Benz has returned to it. This one has a turbocharger strapped to it, which translates to 429 horsepower, comes in at 6,100 RPM, and 384 pound-feet of torque, comes in at 1,800 RPM, stays flat all the way up to 5,800 RPM. Then there's the pièce de résistance, and that is an integrated starter generator motor that sits between the engine and the transmission, and that forms the basis of a 48-volt electrical system. Now, in a previous Mercedes AMG episode, I shared with you why that tech is very important and how it shares technology with a Boeing 787 aircraft. Here, one of the benefits, there's no longer a need for an accessory drive. That's really replaced by the integrated starter generator motor. So we understand each other. The gasoline turbocharged engine combined with the integrated starter generator motor creates a mild hybrid system that adds 21 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. But there's a very unique way in which they apply that. There is an electric supercharger that lowers the turbo lag from the turbocharger. This all works through a 9-speed automatic transmission that has a torque converter and sends all of that power to all 4 wheels. Now, in terms of performance figures, VMAX 155 miles an hour, 0 to 60, 5.2 seconds. Important piece of information, this weighs almost 5,300 pounds as equipped. With that, that is not bad at all. Clarification, that is the Sport Plus mode. We're not going to fool around with anything lesser than that. I would argue the biggest difference in delivery of power between this engine and the 4-liter twin turbo in the 63 is that's more about off the line and raw brute force, where this, it's more of a scalpel, I would argue more usable in passing or real world situations. This is where I, a 6-footer, would sit. I'll let you be the judge on knee and headroom, but I'm not back here to talk practicality. I'm here to clarify the mission of this very fancy baby buggy. You see, it is shorter by 2.4 inches in the wheelbase. And then you would think with a mild hybrid system that it would be about efficiency. But you look at the MPG, it's 1823. And then you look at the horsepower, yeah, it's more about performance. I guess that's why they call it an AMG. But I would argue it's more than that. I know I've told you in other episodes that this shares technology with Boeing 787 aircraft, and that technology helps those planes go on what's called long and skinny routes. Like it can go from Newark, New Jersey to Singapore non-stop. Here, that translates to, I would say, longevity, more reliability. I mean, it's no secret that cars that have this much tech, after about 5 years, you start to see some trouble. And this, with less moving parts, I would at least hope that the reliability increases past 5 years. Now, rather than me kind of pontificate on this, I'm going to turn this around to you guys. Do you think these kind of technologies in these types of vehicles, not just Mercedes, any kind of vehicle that would have a 48-volt electrical system, do you think it will improve the reliability over the long term? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments below. This is not a DCT like we've seen in so many of the AMGs we've been driving recently. This is a 9-speed torque converter automatic, very similar to the middle-of-the-road Mercedes you and I have been driving over the years. The only complaint that I could find here is you wouldn't be able to downshift when pushing aggressively. For example, I want to get into this turn a bit more aggressively. It let me downshift there, but it won't let me downshift in this scenario, go down to second, because the computer is saying, you might blow up the car. And notice, there is a handle that looks and feels just like that shifter, in the AMG GTR Roadster. However, in this AMG product, the shifter is here like my mother's 1974 Buick. Can we change that? Yes, it is indeed that time again to play your favorite game, Mind the Options game, with today's contestant, something that is far more flash than meets the eye, so belt in for quite a round. The 2021 Mercedes AMG GLE 53 Coupe for a suggested retail price of $76,500. To that, we add a color that we have seen on many Mercedes in previous rounds of the game, selenite gray, $720. Then on top of that, AMG black Napa leather, that is exclusive, and it better be, for $4,550. Good news is, the brushed aluminum trim, that is no charge. Then we add the AMG Sport steering wheel in Dinamica, that is like a faux suede, $600. Then I need to point out that these are fitted with 21-inch wheels as standard. However, this one you're looking at has the stunning 22-inch wheels. They better be stunning because they're $2,750. Then we add the AMG high performance brakes with silver calipers, $2,500. Then luckily the Napa leather wrapped dashboard, that is no charge. Then this is an AMG, it says AMG everywhere. However, you have to pay an additional $1,250 for the AMG performance exhaust. Then we add the rear side airbags, which are optional on a family car that costs 76 grand. That is $700. Then something the entire family can enjoy, heated and cooled cup holders, $180. 4-zone climate control, $860. Then the black Dinamica headliner really transforms the interior of this car, and it should, for $1,600. The MBUX interior assistant, that is you saying, hey Mercedes, they charge extra for that, $200. Really? Pre-wiring for the rear seat entertainment, $170. Heated rear seats, $580. Magic Vision Control, that is $350. Soft closed doors, $550. Then we get into packages. The MBUX technology package, I've told you before, this is the answer to the question of why you would get the navigation from the OEM, augmented reality. This is also very important, head-up display, $1,450. We will talk about that head-up display more in this episode. The Driver's Assistance Package Plus, also very important on a Mercedes. This is Distronic Plus, lane keep assist, that kind of stuff, $1,950. Then the Parking Assistance Package, which is the surround view camera system, $500. Then we get into a bevy of confusing packages because I feel we already bought some of this stuff. The Warmth and Comfort Package, which is faster heated front seats, heated armrests for $1,050. The Energizing Comfort Package Plus, which is the opposite direction, that is the ventilated front seats, the Air Balance Package, I have no idea what that is, and then the massage seats and the active contour seats, whatever those are, $2,100. Then the Acoustic Comfort Package. This is basically a lot of insulation throughout the car to make it quieter on the inside of the car. But you're buying an AMG. You're buying a car that snorts and crackles and pops, and you want to hear that. Otherwise, you'd buy the cheaper Mercedes, so why pay an extra $1,100 to make your car sound like the cheaper Mercedes? I don't know, just me, maybe I'm confused. And then last but not least, destination and delivery, $1,050, for a total retail price of $103,260. So a head-up display, not something entirely new to the world of fancy cars, or even not so fancy cars. We've even seen them in Porsches recently. Here, it's been in Mercedes for a while, but this is a bit of an upgrade. So yes, there is a good amount of information here, which is usable in all this extra real estate, but I would argue by repositioning this and making it larger, it makes your focal point a safer focal point because your eyes are higher in the road looking farther down the road. Like, do you remember your driver's ed back in the day, the Smith system of driving? I believe Mr. Smith himself has designed this head-up display. One of the main benefits of a 48-volt electrical system, aside from what we learned underneath the hood, is that the systems around the car that require power, they require less power to run, which changes the wiring. They can be thinner and lighter, and that enables the engineers to get far more creative. And one of the beneficiaries of that is the suspension. Now, you and I already drove a long roof GLE. This shares the same suspension architecture with that car. However, this being an AMG 53, it has a couple options that are layered on top of that. The Air Ride as well as the AMG Ride Control. And that's just a very fancy way of saying there is a way to counteract lean when this very high center of gravity vehicle goes into turns. Now, the way it does it, that's unique to the 48-volt electrical system. You look underneath this vehicle, and usually when you look underneath a baby buggy, they're very unattractive. This, it's really something to behold. And what you see are very thick anti-roll bars. That's connected to electromechanical actuators that actively counteract the lean when the car goes into and out of a turn. That in turn works in conjunction with the ride control to adjust the ride height. So the ride height can be adjusted higher 2.2 inches from 0 to 43 miles an hour. And then when the car is in Sport Plus or over 75 miles an hour, the ride height can be reduced by 0.6 of an inch. So let's give that a try, shall we? Pushing it a bit aggressively on roads this thing was not designed for. And the biggest thing you notice is there is very minimal pitch, squat, dive, and roll. A very important point about this genre of vehicle, something with a high center of gravity, good amount of power that's supposed to be performance oriented. Normally that wreaks havoc on the ride quality, mainly because there's no way to control all of the movement of the mass. Here, it's unusually good, and really the best way to describe it is to compare it against, I would say, the high watermark in the segment, and that is the Porsche Cayenne. If you were to look at that on a spectrum of driving dynamics, the Cayenne is up here, the Cayenne Turbo is up here, GTS is somewhere in between those. The previous version we drove with is the GLE 450 with the square back roof. That was somewhere down here. Like most Lexus SUVs, that would be down here, even with the F-Sport. But the GLE 450 was pretty good. This, I would argue, is much closer to the Cayenne. I would almost go to the point of saying perhaps too close for comfort if I were Porsche.